This happened 2 years ago, during my last day of 8th grade. The day was loud, chaotic, and packed with that weird mix of sadness and excitement you only get when you know something's ending. Everyone was running around trying to get as many signatures in their yearbook as possible. More than 1,000 students were in my middle school, so to make things easier, the teachers collected everyone's yearbooks and passed them around different classrooms so more kids could sign. Sounds like a good system, right? Yeah, until you realize anyone could write anything they wanted in anyone's yearbook. And they did. Some kids wrote mean stuff. One girl found her photo circled in red ink with the word snake written under it. Another kid got a message that just said ugly in all caps. I got lucky though, or at least I thought I did. When I got my yearbook back at the end of the day, I flipped through it like a kid at Christmas. My friends wrote all kinds of dumb stuff. Stay weird. Don't forget me. The usual stuff. Then I saw a message that stopped me cold. It was written just under my class photo, a name I didn't recognize. Samuel Robinson III. The message, HAGS. I'll be seeing you again. That's it. Short, weird, creepy. I didn't know any Samuel Robinson. I even checked the class roster and all the grade level photos. No Samuel Robinson anywhere. At first I thought maybe it was a joke. Maybe one of my friends is messing with me, but they swore they didn't do it. Later that night, my friends came over for a sleepover. We stayed in my basement, eating Doritos and playing Call of Duty until after midnight. Around 2 a.m., we were messing around with my dad's old rowing machine when we heard it. A knock at the basement storm door, 3 knocks. Steady, cold, not loud, but somehow intentional. We all froze. My parents were sleeping 3 floors up. No one ever used the storm door. If someone was knocking there, they knew we were in the basement, or worse, they were trying not to be heard upstairs. Kieran, one of my friends, shouted, "Who's there?" The knocking stopped. We waited. Then, another knock. Louder this time. David peeked through the blinds, just barely, and then he jumped back like he'd been burned. "There's someone out there," he whispered. "He's just standing there." "What does he look like?" I asked. David's voice shook. "He's smiling." We all stared at each other. None of us moved. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. Instagram, a new message. From Samuel.Robinson. No profile picture, no bio, just a single message. "Nice yearbook." This one comes from a kid who said he went to a small high school in rural Pennsylvania. It was the final day of senior year, and most students were already checked out. But this guy, let's call him Marcus, got stuck with one last detention. Something stupid about skipping gym class too many times. He said it felt pointless. Last day of school. Barely anyone eyes Evan in the building. But the vice principal insisted he serve his hour. Detention was held in room 3B, an old classroom tucked way in the back wing of the school. The kind of room where the clock's always broken, the walls are stained yellow, and you feel like time doesn't move right. Marcus walked in, expecting a few other kids, but it was completely empty. Just him. And the monitor. Only it wasn't the usual teacher who watched detention. It was some old guy Marcus had never seen before. Balding. Thick glasses kind of hunched over. No name tag. No smile. He just pointed to a seat near the front and said, "Sit. No talking." For a while, Marcus just sat there in silence. The guy didn't look up from his desk. But then Marcus noticed something strange. The classroom door didn't have a knob on the inside. It was just a flat slab of metal where the knob should have been. He tried not to panic. Maybe it was just broken. Maybe they took it off for repairs. Whatever. He waited, and waited, and waited. Finally, he checked the time on his phone. His 1-hour detention should have ended 40 minutes ago. He looked up. Sir?" The man didn't respond. Is it time to go? Still nothing. Marcus stood up and walked to the desk. I think it's been long enough. The man finally looked up and smiled. Only his teeth weren't teeth. They looked like nails. Rusty, jagged nails jammed into his gums like some nightmare version of braces. Marcus backed away, fast. He turned to the door and banged on it, screamed, kicked. No one answered. But then, the room changed. He said the lights started flickering, pulsing almost, like a heartbeat. The posters on the walls melted into black ink, and the clock started spinning backward. Marcus doesn't remember how he got out. Just that, at some point, the door flew open and he bolted. He told a janitor what happened. But when they went back to room 3B, the room was locked. No desks, no signs of detention ever being held there. And no one had ever heard of a teacher named Mr. Denton. Everyone knew something was off about locker 193. It sat alone at the end of the hall in the school's oldest wing, the one that always smelled like moldy paper and old paint. The wing was supposed to be shut down for renovations, but for some reason, that single locker still had a student's name on it, Emily Ward. No one had seen Emily in years. Rumor was she'd gone missing one day after school and was never seen again. And on the last day of school, Olivia found out why. Olivia was a quiet senior. Not the popular kind, but not invisible either. She mostly kept to herself, focusing on her art and counting the days until graduation. She had a couple of friends, but they'd all left early that day. The final bell had rung. The halls were empty. She was finishing up her locker cleanout and waiting for her mom to pick her up. That's when she heard it. A soft, slow knock. At first, she thought someone had gotten locked in a classroom. She glanced down the hallway, but it was dead silent. Then again, knock, knock, knock. But it wasn't coming from the classrooms. It was coming from that locker. Locker 193. She froze. The knocking wasn't frantic, like someone trapped and panicking. It was slow, almost rhythmic, like someone wanted to be heard, but wasn't in a hurry. Olivia's curiosity got the better of her. She walked slowly toward it, the sound growing louder as she approached. The locker was slightly ajar. She reached out and touched the cold metal. It was freezing. She paused. Her hand hovered near the handle. Something in her gut screamed, "Don't open it." But she did. Inside was nothing. At least, that's what she thought. Then she looked closer. Taped to the back wall of the locker was a faded photograph. A girl, about her age, pale skin, long dark hair, wearing the same school uniform Olivia was wearing. Underneath the photo, someone had scratched the name, Emily Ward, weird, and then something even weirder. The inside of the locker was deeper than it should have been. It didn't just stop at the back panel. It seemed like it went further, like the darkness stretched into a tunnel. Then the lights in the hallway flickered. Olivia stumbled back, heart racing. She turned to leave, but then heard something that made her stop cold, a whisper. "Help me." She spun back around. No one. But the voice had been clear, right behind her ear. "Help me," it said again. And this time, she saw it. A hand, pale, bony, reaching out from inside the locker. She screamed and backed away, but the hand didn't reach for her. It just hung there, limp, as if waiting to be pulled. Olivia ran, straight to the front office. But it was locked. Everyone had gone home. She looked at her phone. No signal. Of course, she had to pass that wing again to get out, and as she did, she looked, just for a second, toward the locker. Emily was standing there, only it wasn't just Emily. Her eyes were sunken. Her face was pale like wax, her smile too wide, and her hand still outstretched. "You saw me," she whispered. "That means you're next." The hallway grew cold. Olivia turned and sprinted for the door. She didn't stop running until she was outside in the blazing summer heat. Her mom's car was waiting. She jumped in, slammed the door shut, and didn't say a word. She never told anyone what she saw. But every night since, she hears knocking. On her closet, on her window, on her walls. Knock, knock, knock. Always slow, always 3 times. And one night, she found a note under her pillow. Locker. 93 is open again. Are you ready to take her place? She tried to go back, tried to prove it to herself that it wasn't real. But when she returned to the school during the summer, the wing had been sealed off, not renovated, just boarded up. But sometimes, when she drives past it at night, she swears she sees a girl standing by the side entrance, pale, still, waiting for someone to open the door, and somewhere, behind old metal, the knocking never stops.